Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of reciprocal tariffs and exploring why they often don't work out as planned. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about tariffs lately. So what exactly are reciprocal tariffs?
Well, reciprocal tariffs are when one country imposes tariffs on another country's goods in response to tariffs placed on its own exports. It's like a tit-for-tat strategy to create a fair trading environment.
So they're meant to level the playing field?
Exactly. The idea is that if one nation sets up trade barriers, the other can retaliate with equivalent tariffs.
Right.
Governments argue this protects domestic industries and jobs by counteracting unfair practices.
But how does that actually work in practice?
So, let's say country A places a 10% tariff on country B's steel. Country B might respond by placing a 10% tariff on country A's aluminum. It's all about matching the tariffs to encourage negotiations to lower them.
But doesn't that just escalate tensions?
Yeah, that's one of the big issues. Instead of fostering cooperation, it can lead to trade wars where each side keeps upping the ante.
And who ends up paying the price for that?
Ultimately, consumers and businesses. Companies often pass the extra costs onto consumers, so everyday goods become more expensive.
That's not ideal at all.
No, it's not. Plus, it can disrupt global supply chains. Modern economies are so interconnected that tariffs can cause unexpected ripple effects.
Yeah, I've heard that retaliation can be unpredictable too. Is that true?
Absolutely. Countries might target politically sensitive industries instead of responding with equivalent tariffs. That can make the situation even more volatile.
So how are reciprocal tariffs different from other tariffs?
Great question. Other tariffs, like protective tariffs, are meant to shield domestic industries by making foreign goods pricier.
Okay.
Revenue tariffs are just to generate government income. Reciprocal tariffs specifically retaliate against another country's tariffs.
I see the distinction now.
And then there are punitive tariffs, which serve as economic punishment for political reasons.
Right.
So while all tariffs tax imports, their intentions differ.
But if reciprocal tariffs often don't work, why do countries keep using them?
Well, it's like they hope to pressure the other country into backing down. But in reality, countries rarely relent when faced with tariffs.
So it's more symbolic than effective?
Exactly. Plus, they can lead to reduced economic growth as trade volumes decrease. Businesses struggle, jobs are lost,
and
tough. Economies suffer overall.
It seems counterproductive then.
It really is. And don't forget the diplomatic strains. Tariff disputes can harm international relations and hinder cooperation in other areas.
Yeah, like security and environmental issues. So what are the alternatives to reciprocal tariffs?
There are several. For instance, multilateral trade agreements where countries negotiate to lower tariffs together, creating stability.
That makes sense. Kind of like everyone agreeing to play fair from the start.
Exactly. Then there are subsidies and domestic investments where governments support their own industries to stay competitive without using tariffs.
Right. Are there also diplomatic ways to handle disputes?
Yes, through organizations like the World Trade Organization. They help resolve disputes diplomatically. It's often more effective than economic retaliation.
But do these alternatives always work?
Not always, but they're generally more constructive. Reciprocal tariffs tend to escalate conflicts rather than resolve them.
I see. So why do you think some governments still prefer tariffs?
Well, sometimes it's political. Imposing tariffs can be a way to show strength or protect certain domestic interests.
Yeah.
It's not always about economic efficiency.
That makes sense, but it seems like a risky strategy.
It is. And, it's like shooting yourself in the foot
exactly.
to make a point. The short-term gains are often outweighed by the long-term losses.
I'm starting to wonder if tariffs are ever a good idea.
Well, in some cases, they can be useful. Protective tariffs can help emerging industries grow. But reciprocal tariffs, specifically, tend to be less effective.
So what's the takeaway here?
The main point is that while reciprocal tariffs aim for fairness, they usually lead to economic harm and strained relations. Alternative approaches are often better for resolving trade issues.
I have to say I didn't realize how complex this topic was.
It really is intricate. Trade policies can have far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely.
It's important to consider all the implications before taking action.
Definitely. Well, this has been enlightening.
Glad you found it useful.
Yeah.
Trade might not be the flashiest topic, but it affects us all.
For sure. Thanks for breaking it down for me.
Anytime. Looking forward to our next discussion.
Me too. Until then.